Welcome, everyone, to Making Sales Social Live, brought to you by Social Sales Link. I'm Bob Woods, and I'm joined by fellow LinkedIn and social selling professional, who is also known as the LinkedIn Whisperer, Bryn Tillman. Hey, Bryn.
Hey, Bob. I'm looking forward to this conversation today.
Same here. Same here.
Welcome to Making Sales Social Live, as we share LinkedIn and social selling training, strategies, and tips that will have an immediate impact on your business. Join Bryn Tillman and me, Bob Woods, every week. Making Sales Social Live. This is the recorded version of our weekly Making Sales Social Live show.
So in our last episode, we took a deep dive into the About Summary section of your LinkedIn profile and how to use it effectively in sales. If you missed it, you might want to give it a listen, of course, after this. This week, though, it's all about the experience section, another important part of your LinkedIn profile. Now, I think that the experience section is one of the, if not the most underutilized sections in the LinkedIn profile. And today we're going to get you on the right path to using it effectively. Overall thoughts about the experience section? Do you agree that it's the most underutilized, Bryn?
Out of 100 movies, they're all my top 10. So
yeah.
I tend to say, like, yes, this is the most underutilized. And then I'll go, oh, but the about section. Oh, but the featured section. However, the way that we're about to talk about this allows folks to really utilize this more effectively.
That's a very good way to put that. I like that a lot. So again, like we said last week, we're going to say it again this week. Before you change anything in your profile, you need to download your current profile as a PDF so you can save what you already have there. To do this, you'll click more, the more button next to the add profile section button at your profile in the above the fold area, and then click save PDF. It downloads and you're ready to go, and you don't have to worry about losing any of your old stuff.
Because there's no undo.
There's no undo. I was going to say there's no undo in life. Well, yeah, I don't know if you can say that. Anyhow, so let's get specifically to some of the elements that make up a really, really effective experience section. So actually, before we get into the content specifically about the experience section, there's one thing that you're going to want to do that has to do with the experience section, but it makes your profile just look so much better in general. And that is to connect your current job, your current experience to the company's LinkedIn page. That's really important, because if you don't do that, you're going to get that ugly looking icon, not only in the very top, in the top of the fold area, but in the experience section too. It just, you may work for a totally and 100% completely legitimate company, but if those little gray squares show up, there are a few people who don't know you who are actually going to know that it's legitimate.
Yeah. And if you're a solopreneur, a small business that you don't have a company page yet, it's really simple and free. You don't need a premium to do this. You can create your own company page by clicking on the me. Is it the me or is it the nine dots?
It's the me.
The me. Okay. About 10 years ago, it was the 9 dots, and I can't.
Yeah, it was once upon a time. Yep. Yeah.
I think it's the 9 dots. Oh, it's the 9 dots. So it was me, and now it's this. Okay. Because they switch stuff all the time. Anyway, so
they do.
If you click on the 9 dots and you scroll down, you'll see create a company page. Just walk through it, add your logo. And then if for any reason the logo is not attached to the experience, you just go in, edit, retype the name of the company and pull it from the drop down with the logo. Hold off a minute and make sure your toggle at the top to share with your network is off if you don't want them to know, or on if you do. And we'll talk about the pros and cons of that in a little bit.
Yep, exactly. So from here, it's all going to be about the content in the experience section. So with your current title, you're actually going to want to have SEO or search optimized terms or phrases in there so that people can find you easily. So instead of just saying managing partner or sales representative or whatever, don't necessarily not include those, but after that, maybe put in a pipe and then some of those phrases that will help your profile show up in searches.
Yeah, like I have LinkedIn sales trainer and sales navigator trainer in my title, even though that's not actually my title. So that does help for sure.
Absolutely. So, and then also obviously use those search engine optimized words and phrases throughout your profile as well in other areas. But in the actual title of your most current profession or your most current employer, title employer, it's especially important to have there because that gets hit a little more in terms of search engines than other sections do.
And actually, so we're going to get into a little what we call a hack or a trick or whatever in a moment. Before we get into that, what Bob just said, I just want to emphasize, because LinkedIn and Google, first of all, talk, right? Like Google indexes all pages, including LinkedIn. And it's also really important that we're leveraging this because most of LinkedIn is used for job seeking and recruiting. So this section of job title is one of the most important when it comes to search engine optimization. A lot of people think it's the headline, but it's actually the most important that we have learned is your current experiences. And I say that with plural because we'll explain that in a minute. But also your past experiences. So if it lines up, go ahead and just edit some of those titles too, just for the search engine optimization piece.
Yep. Really good. Really good. So the next one, we're actually going to stay with your current position and your main title. We're going to be talking about probably the biggest thing to put into your description box there, which actually isn't a description more than it is about you telling your story about why you chose your company. Like those types of things really give people insight into who you are, what you do, why you like doing what you're doing. Let people see yourself more as the person that, we all are essentially. So put it out there.
Yeah. So I love this. And, we talk a lot about earning the right to get the conversation. If they've scrolled down to your experience section, they like you. You have gotten to the point where you've provided enough value that they want to learn more about you. And that's where that experience comes in. So Bob mentioned tell your story. I love to talk about how did I get here? Why did I choose or start this company? What is the value that I'm thrilled to be bringing instead of your job description? And, if you go in and read my story, I talk about in my current experience, how I started my sales career in 1990, right? And that's my current experience because this is my pathway, my story. And I talk about how that led to teaching LinkedIn for sales.
Yeah. And then I'm going to give you two quick examples. One is actually in mine really quick. I talk about how I was literally one of the first people on LinkedIn compared to the 750 or whatever million.
What number were you?
74,899th person to join LinkedIn.
First 100,000.
Yep.
I praise you.
So then the other thing that I was going to bring up. So when you think about your story, it doesn't have to be like business related all the way through. I was actually doing a makeover for a financial professional, and this individual's story actually dealt with how his family, when he was growing up, their house burned up in a fire. They had all kinds of problems with finances afterwards because they didn't have a plan in place and insurance in place and things like that to cover that. His main motivator to get in was to help people so that they didn't face what he faced when he was growing up. How much more of a perfect and true, obviously, story can you get? So if you really have like a really strong, impactful story, it's going to have impact on anyone who reads it, because it had an impact on me. And I did this months ago, and it still sticks with me like I did it yesterday.
That's huge, right? That's his why.
Yep.
And I think if you have a why, and everyone has a why, but if you
Right.
can, what Bob just said, if you can bridge your why into this company, this industry, the way you're serving people, you are going to
Looking to up your LinkedIn game? The Social Sales Link team has you covered with our LinkedIn Sales Accelerator, a guided social selling program that includes training, coaching, and so much more. Visit socialsaleslink.com/in for more details. Again, that's socialsaleslink.com/in.
emotionally connect with your profile visitors in your network. Bob, that's very powerful.
Yeah. And obviously not everyone's going to have that type of story there, but if you do, you can soften up, you can, you may not want to get like personal, but something like that, I think definitely works. So
Love it.
now we're going to talk about what we call the experience hack. And yes, we put the word hack in many, many, many air quotes because this is not a hack. We're not actually breaking anything on LinkedIn. So you know how you can chart, and maybe you don't know this, but you can chart within one particular company your progression within a company. So let's say you started in the proverbial mailroom and then as assistant salesperson, sales manager, blah, blah, blah. You can chart all of that in LinkedIn. What we have done is that we actually use this so that you could describe products or services or productize whatever it is you do into separate categories. That's really important, especially going back to the SEO part, because remember, those titles get searched even more than the headlines. So if you have your product titles and maybe some keywords even after that within those titles, you'll be found even better. And plus you can also describe exactly what it is, what you do. And then you can add media, whether it's a PDF on what it does or a link to your website. And it's chef's kiss.
Ooh,
Yeah.
so yummy. So, let's talk about this a little bit. So you can also do persona. So take a look at how you represent yourself on your website. Is it broken down to our services or the industries we serve?
Right.
And then when you go in and you add the plus sign for company, you're going to go ahead and type in your company again and pull it from the drop down. And then instead of adding your title in the title, that's where you add your product or service. Now, I love the fact that you can link to a page on your website, and you can also copy and paste the verbiage on your website as well, because, having that aligned is really fabulous. Once you save it, it may, not always, but it may change the order. So your position is pushed down. There are up and down carrots when you go in to edit your career that you can move these sections around so they appear in the order in which you wish them to appear. So take a look at Bob's profile and my profile and look how we've identified. I don't know what you have. I have products. So I have LinkedIn makeovers, which you do, not me, but anyway, I still have it listed because we do them as a company.
We do them. Right? Yes, absolutely.
So LinkedIn profile makeovers, our membership, our corporate training, each of these are listed, and I change around the order a little bit based on, really honestly, based on I did a training and I moved the order.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, we're really highlighting a new corporate training product. So I might bring that to the top. And also, side note, update your banner to promote that a little bit. You can say in a banner, learn more of my experience below.
Oh, that's a good one.
Or in my featured section below. But we're on experience, so I need to pull back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I like that. And then sometimes I run into people who say, I offer services. How do I list these? And it's just like you almost have to productize. And I do use that kind of loosely. Your
I love that word.
So that you can list them separately. And if you have just one product or service, and Bryn's alluded to this a little bit already, but you serve several different industries with that one product or service, list the industries that you serve
Mhm.
instead.
Yeah, I love that. So if you sell to manufacturing and logistics, and yeah, those personas are a great way. And most likely your website has broken this out.
Right.
And if I'm going to say, whether you're live now or you're listening in replay, if you're not sure, come to one of our open house coachings at socialsaleslink.com/events. Bring those questions there. We're happy to talk through how to position that experience. So go to socialsaleslink.com/events, scroll down to be our guest coaching, and we can walk you through it.
Cool. So the next one is previous experiences. So I can't tell you how many questions we get about what should I do with all these previous experiences and things like
Mm.
that. So a couple of things. The big thing that I like to tell people is that all of these previous jobs make up who you are now. So if there's a way that some of the things that you did in the past are helping you now, or something that you did is helping you now, and it should be, like either with helping customers or, developing product or, whatever it is, spin up those previous experiences
Mhm.
so that you can show how these previous jobs are helping you now, rather than just focusing on what you did for them. Make those previous experiences work for you now.
I love that. And let's hook back to the SEO
Yes.
and make sure those titles are search engine optimized. The key here is you can talk about your successes in the company, but especially if this is a competitor, make sure you're not bragging on that company, like how great it was or whatever, right? Like we want to make sure that you're highlighted, but not necessarily the company. And then
Exactly.
those SEO words work great here.
And then the last thing that we're going to talk about, unless Bryn wants to bring up something that I might have
Yeah,
forgotten.
because sometimes
Sure.
I just have pop-up thoughts.
Yeah, pop-up thoughts. We all have pop-up thoughts. You can now add skills. Last week, we talked about that people are getting the ability to add skills to their about section. You can
Mhm.
also add skills to each of your your current position or positions and previous positions in the experience section as well. And I think that that's really, really that's a really, really good offering by LinkedIn.
I do too. And these are, you get 50 skills total. You can reuse the skill. So if in 3 jobs, your major skill was bookkeeping, you can use that skill 3 times. It doesn't take from your 50. So
Yep.
you get 50 skills in your skill section, and you can connect 5 of them to all your positions, including those, the hack, right? So you can have 5 on your main title company. And then we have the first hack, right? So we go, manufacturing. You can have 5 skills under that one. And then your next one, logistics. You can have 5 skills under that one. You can double them up, or you can have 5 or 3 different ones and 2 doubled up. From what we understand, and the LinkedIn algorithm is a funny thing, but from what we understand, the more a specific skill is mentioned throughout, the higher you're going to rank in SEO. So if you have 1 or 2 keywords that people are using when they're looking for you, use them in as many places: your about section, your skills section, and now your experience section.
Yes, that's one of the really nice things about the LinkedIn just profile overall, is that there are separate sections and things like that, but
Mhm.
sometimes the way things work together is just really cool, especially when it comes to SEO. And what Bryn brought up, I think, is a perfect example of that.
Woohoo!
So experience section, underutilized. Now you know how to make it much more effective for you, not only when people look at your profile, but to even attract people to your profile. I didn't even write that down ahead of time. I just came up with that in the fly.
No, it's almost
Yeah.
like you do this every day.
Almost, not quite, but almost. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us on Making Sales Social Live. If you're with us live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter right now, we do this every week, so join us every week. If you're listening to our podcast, which means you're listening to the recorded version and you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe or follow button. If you'd like more information on our podcast, go to socialsaleslink.com/podcast. We do this show every week, and we also do our Making Sales Social interview series, where we talk with leaders and experts in sales, marketing, business, and a lot more areas than that. So when you're out and about, make sure that your sales are
social. Bye, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Don't miss an episode. Visit socialsaleslink.com/podcast. Leave a review down below. Tell us what you think, what you learned, and what you want to hear from us next. Register for free resources at linkedinlibrary.com. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. Visit our website, socialsaleslink.com, for more information.